You just told a small lie today. Maybe you don't remember it. Maybe it felt like nothing. But for 1/25th of a second, your face told the truth anyway. You didn't feel it happen. Nobody around you noticed it either. But it happened. And the story of why your face betrays you, even when your voice doesn't, is far stranger than you think. Start with the moment itself. Someone asks how you're doing. You say fine. You are not fine. There is a flicker, a tiny pull at the corner of your mouth, a brief tightening around your eyes, gone before you can name it. You assume this is just nerves, or bad acting, or nothing at all. But researchers who have spent decades studying human faces will tell you something unsettling. That flicker is not a glitch in your performance. It is a leftover instruction from a much older version of you. Here is the reframe. You think lying is a modern social skill, something you learned from watching adults navigate awkward conversations. It is not. The machinery behind it is ancient, older than language, older than most of what you'd call human culture. Your face is not just a canvas for expression, it is a survival system. And systems built for survival do not politely wait for your permission before they act. Consider what your face actually is, biologically speaking. You have somewhere between 40 and 43 muscles just in your face, more than almost any other mammal. Compare that to a dog whose face is mostly fixed, or a horse whose expressions are limited to ears and lips. Human faces evolved to be extraordinarily expressive, and that expressiveness came with a cost. It made deception harder, not easier. The very muscles that let your ancestors bond, cooperate, and warn each other of danger are the same muscles that leak the truth when you try to hide it. This is where the psychologist Paul Ekman enters the story. In the 1960s and 70s, Ekman traveled to Papua New Guinea to study an isolated group called the Four People, who had almost no contact with Western media or culture. He wanted to answer a simple but enormous question. Are facial expressions universal, or are they learned, like language? He showed them photographs of faces expressing fear, anger, disgust, joy, sadness, and surprise. The Four People identified them correctly, at rates far beyond chance, despite having never seen a Western face show emotion before. Ekman's conclusion reshaped psychology. Certain expressions are not cultural. They are hardwired. Your face runs code installed before your species had a name for itself, but universality was only half the discovery. Working alongside researcher Wallace Friesen, Ekman noticed something even stranger while reviewing old film footage of a psychiatric patient. The patient had lied about her mental state, insisting she felt fine, right before a planned home visit that could have ended in tragedy. When they slowed the footage down, frame by frame, they caught something no one had seen at normal speed. A flash of pure anguish crossing her face, lasting a fraction of a second before the calm mask slid back into place. They called this a micro-expression, and once they knew what to look for, they started finding it everywhere. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. A micro-expression isn't a choice. It isn't something you can rehearse away with practice, the way you might smooth out a nervous laugh or a shaky voice. It fires from a part of your brain that doesn't check in with the part of you that's trying to look composed. Two separate neural pathways are involved. One runs through the motor cortex, the part of your brain that controls voluntary movement, the smile you choose to give a coworker. The other runs through the limbic system, the ancient emotional core of your brain, and it hijacks your facial muscles involuntarily whenever a strong feeling hits. When those two systems disagree, when your limbic system feels one thing and your motor cortex tries to perform another, the limbic system wins first. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Why would evolution build you this way? Why would it give you a face that undermines your own lies? Because for most of human history, honesty wasn't a moral virtue. It was a survival necessity. Your ancestors lived in small groups, maybe 50 to 150 people, where everyone depended on everyone else for food, protection, and information about threats. A group that couldn't trust its members' faces couldn't coordinate a hunt, couldn't warn each other about a predator fast enough, couldn't function at all. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has argued that human social groups grew as large as they did specifically because humans developed reliable ways to read intention and trustworthiness from each other. A readable face wasn't a flaw in the system, It was the system. Deception had to be possible because social life requires some privacy of thought, but it also had to be detectable because a group of undetectable liars collapses. So your face became a compromise. Built to be controlled enough for social smoothing, small white lies, polite masks, but built to leak under real pressure, real fear, real emotional stakes. Somewhere between the birth of complex tribal cooperation and now, this leak became permanent architecture. Now here's the twist that most people never expect. You'd assume, given all this, that trained professionals are excellent at spotting lies on a face. Detectives, judges, customs officers? The research says otherwise. Psychologist Maureen O'Sullivan, working with Ekman, tested thousands of people across dozens of professions to see who could actually detect deception reliably above chance. Most groups performed barely better than a coin flip. Even law enforcement officers, despite years of experience, mostly failed to outperform random guessing. Only a tiny fraction of people, later nicknamed truth wizards, consistently scored above 90% accuracy. And there weren't many of them. Out of thousands tested, only about 50 people qualified. Why does training fail so badly here? Because a microexpression lasts somewhere between 1/25th and 1/5 of a second. That is faster than conscious visual processing typically operates. You are, quite literally, looking directly at the truth and missing it. Not because you're careless, but because your visual system wasn't built to catch something that fast without specific practice. Your brain processes faces holistically as a whole impression, an overall vibe of trustworthy or not, rather than frame by frame. The information is there. Your access to it is the bottleneck. This is where it gets personal. Because even though you likely can't consciously catch a micro-expression on someone else's face, something in you is still picking it up. Studies on unconscious processing suggest your brain registers these flashes even when your conscious mind doesn't. That gut feeling you get around someone, the sense that something is off even though you can't say what, may be your limbic system successfully reading theirs, without ever notifying the rest of you. You've been running a lie detector this whole time. You just don't have access to its printout. And your own face has been doing the same thing to everyone around you. Think about the last time you told even a small, socially necessary lie. Said you loved a gift you didn't. Told a friend their plan sounded great when it didn't. In that moment, some part of your face almost certainly leaked something. A flash too fast for anyone to name, but not necessarily too fast for their gut to register. You didn't get away with it as cleanly as you think. You just got away with it consciously. The other person's conscious mind agreed to let it go. Their older, faster systems may have quietly filed it away anyway. This changes something about how you might think of honesty. It is not really a decision you make once at the moment you choose your words. It is a full-body event, happening on multiple timelines simultaneously, some of them totally outside your control. You can manage your sentences, you cannot fully manage your face. Somewhere underneath the version of you that speaks, there is an older version of you that simply cannot help but show what it feels, for a 25th of a second, whether you like it or not. So the next time you catch a flicker on someone's face or feel one on your own, understand what you're actually looking at. Not a mistake, not bad acting, a message from deep in your evolutionary past, sent by a system built long before words existed, still running quietly underneath every conversation you'll ever have. You told a small lie today, and for 1/25th of a second, your face told the truth anyway.